When there are more people sitting down, the tithe goes to the church more. Who is to say that a priest cannot say anything that hurts people? If I make too much noise, people will leave, and my income will decrease. But that isn't the case here. Just like the devil can do, we are listening to false teachings, and then seeing miraculous events to make people believe them. Demons can use signs and wonders to deceive people, as we witness with Pharaoh's sorcerers and throughout the Bible. When spiritual gifts are equated with material wealth, however, it becomes immediately apparent that this is not from God. Lots of people are getting hurt. A lack of integrity, or a speaker motivated solely by financial gain, are not the only factors at play here. This exploits and harms individuals. That's awful. Alright folks, we're gonna dive deep today. It promises to be an intriguing experience. Shane Winnings and Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson are having a conversation on YouTube. Christian television network Daystar is the center of attention. It could appear at first glance to be no more than another media story involving some contentious individuals and some flying accusations about money. That being said, trust me when I say this is far from it. Anyone who has ever pondered the role of trust and leadership within a spiritual context would find it relevant, not only to Daystar. I find it fascinating how Thompson describes Daystar's predicament. She speaks with such conviction. According to her, it's a modern-day epic tale on par with the Bible. Her choice of words suggests that she interprets this as a precursor to a greater Christian movement in the modern world. Sure thing. Also, it's not empty rhetoric. Over 20 broadcasters have recently left Daystar, citing issues with financial management, cover-ups, and the continued airing of an accused pedophile as reasons for their departure. Yes, despite the concerns, it's weighty material. It is heavy, I agree. It also makes you reflect on the weight of responsibility that comes with leading a religious community. Yes. Breaking the trust of these individuals and organizations can have devastating consequences for these reporters and viewers at home. Sure thing. More broadly, it begs the question, how can we discern truth from fiction in religious contexts, and how can we tell who to believe, particularly when some claim to have direct communication with God? I understand. And that is the crux of the matter, isn't it? Another significant topic of this talk is Catherine Krick and her 5F church. This is also true in their case, I understand. She went by the name Catherine Krick, and she proclaimed herself an apostle, a title that holds great significance for certain Christian communities, as it seems to have been bestowed by Jesus himself. According to Winnings, Krick's church exhibits some disturbing characteristics common to cults. Yes. According to Winnings, one red flag is that Krick elevates her spiritual father, Jor Davy, and views him as the conduit between her followers and God. I understand. Having a spiritual leader to look up to isn't necessarily a negative thing. An unhealthy imbalance of power can develop, though, when that relationship is seen as essential for gaining God's approval or pardon. People are easily swayed when they hold positions of such power. Sure thing. Winnings uses some disturbing excerpts from Krick's talks. To illustrate her point, she asks God to punish her enemies in one of them. That is correct indeed. That kind of speech could strike a chord with those who are already feeling marginalized or helpless. I understand. Also, it creates a us versus ship them mentality, where anyone who disagrees with the leader is automatically viewed as being on the side of Satan. Winnings continues by describing how Krick frequently referred to her followers as the army of the end times, and referred to other groups as old wine. She seems to be forming a sect where her adherents will be the only ones to know God's will. Yes. Furthermore, for those seeking belonging and meaning in life, the sensation of isolation can be highly addictive. I understand. Like finding the secret key, they gained God's favor, while everyone else is left out. Winnings reveals an additional tier of cheating, and it's monetary in nature. According to him, Krick hints at a connection between philanthropy and psychological independence, claiming that good fortune follows generosity. Many controversial spiritual leaders still use that tired tactic. They capitalize on the fact that people want to feel secure, wealthy, and fulfilled spiritually by associating monetary contributions with these desires. People who are already struggling financially, or who feel like something is lacking in their lives, are more likely to experience the negative effects of this toxic cocktail. I understand. This quick fix that Krick seems to be offering could end up costing them a lot of money and faith. I agree with his strong argument that this method of instruction constitutes spiritual abuse. It preys on people's vulnerabilities and has the power to make them feel trapped and controlled. The fact that this isn't limited to some strange website is what makes it so frustrating. This is airing on a major Christian television network. It makes sense to me. Consequently, Daystar's decision to stage Catherine Krick is puzzling. Your question is absolutely spot on. Winnings adds that, following the loss of so many stations, Daystar may be in a state of desperate need to attract new listeners in order to maintain its relevance. They may in effect be grasping at straws and prepared to disregard some rather significant warning signs. It would appear that their personal lives take precedence over the spiritual well-being of those who observe them. Yes. Also, that's a terrifying idea. Sure thing. Thus we return to the more fundamental issue of accountability and evaluation. How can the rest of us, dealing with the complexities of faith and leadership, navigate a system where such shady characters can join a large network like Daystar? We should probably hone our mental radar skills. Yes. In order to stay safe, we must be alert for those red flags. Very well. Since this is about more than just Daystar and Catherine Krick, we will investigate that further as our investigation progresses. All along our spiritual path, this is about equipping ourselves to make wise choices. All right, here we have this complex web of accusations, actions, and psychological abuse. How can we proceed? After we covered the group's leaders, I think it's fair to move on to the people who follow them, or the followers. Why are they receptive to these kinds of lessons? In order to satisfy their needs, what do they desire? What you say is very true. These people cannot be dismissed as ignorant or naive. More is happening here than what is immediately apparent. Our desire for meaningful relationships, a sense of community, and a purpose in life are all aspects of this. Sure thing. Furthermore, I believe that knowledge is power when it comes to devising strategies to end spiritual abuse and equip individuals to make more informed choices regarding their faith. Now we can begin to make sense of the Daystar case within the broader context of spiritual abuse, insight, and the importance of self and peer protection. Yes, precisely. As we delve further into this discussion, we will uncover additional complexities and explore potential avenues for promoting healthy and authentic expression of faith. Interesting. Winnings makes a compelling case regarding how the problems Christians confront in other regions of the globe differ from the problems we observe in Western Christianity, which is characterized by manipulation and drama. Yes. He brings up the story of a Syrian Christian who died on a cross because of his faith. For many Christians, it serves as a sobering reminder that faith is not cheap. Since we live in a relatively comfortable Western world, it makes us reflect on the nature of genuine suffering and how we navigate our faith. I understand. It's a modest suggestion. Additionally, it highlights the insignificance of the issues plaguing Western Christianity. Is it more vital for us to establish government and maintain power structures than to adhere to the radical teachings of Jesus Christ about love and sacrifice? I must say, that is a profound inquiry. Additionally, it is related to Thompson's concept of genuine remorse. I understand. She reflects on her 33-year-old fall from grace and expresses her regret for it. It wasn't about avoiding embarrassment or regaining stage presence. It was about coming to terms with the fact that she had harmed others and making amends. According to her, she felt unfit to serve in public office for a long time following that incident. Neither returning to her previous position nor gaining greater authority were important. It was rooted in genuine remorse and a desire to rectify the situation. It seems like the focus of these high-profile apologies is on making things right, rather than accepting full responsibility for the wrongdoing. The contrast between her story and the typical examples of repentance is striking. Christians' words about redemption and forgiveness don't always line up with its practical application very well, and negative outcomes can result from that disconnection. A preacher named Mike Bickle, who has been accused of sexually harassing multiple women, is cited by Thompson. Because of the horrible things he did to the people he hurt, she is outraged at the thought of him returning to the ministry. Her wrath is palpable, I think. In addition, it exemplifies the growing discontent within the church over its tendency to prioritize its reputation over the welfare of its members. In my opinion, we seem to have forgotten that the church isn't about stuff like names, locations, or structures. It concerns individuals, and when those people are wounded, particularly by those in positions of power, we must prioritize their healing and support. True healing should never compromise the victims, and Winnings agrees with that. According to him, church leaders should be legally obligated to cover the costs of counseling and therapy for members who have suffered abuse at the hands of church leaders. That assertion is quite bold. Although it may seem absurd to some, it demonstrates the critical need for a new approach to handling such cases. Yes, preserving the organization and minimizing harm are not priorities. First and foremost, we must attend to the needs of the victims. The power dynamic and the realization that words cannot cure all are at the heart of the matter. I understand. Real assistance, accountability, and the willingness to challenge the powerful are necessary. Additionally, the church must alter its practices, one that stresses the need of being forthright and honest, and being prepared to have these difficult conversations. The importance of intelligence, the dangers of unbridled power, and genuine repentance have all been covered. How about potential solutions? In light of these issues, how can we strengthen and authenticate our faith statement? Therefore, I think the data provided by Winnings is helpful. He argues that houses of worship should institute transparent channels for victims of abuse to seek assistance, report incidents, and face consequences. To ensure that leaders possess the moral fiber, professional acumen, and experience to carry out their responsibilities, he proposes more stringent screening procedures. I feel it's necessary to add that this isn't limited to those in positions of authority within the church. Individually, we should also be involved in this. Can you explain that? We must exercise greater discernment in choosing our leaders and the ideas in which we believe. Do we approach our coursework with an analytical mindset, or are we merely mindlessly absorbing everything that happens to us? Just because someone claims to have exceptional psychic abilities, or has a large following, doesn't mean you should follow them. Asking people in positions of power probing questions and using our critical thinking skills are key components. Very well. It can be particularly awkward in a religious context, because challenging authority is typically viewed as disrespectful or even defiant. However, it is crucial if we wish to avoid manipulation or abuse. Additionally, Winnings connects the importance of prioritizing our personal relationship with our faith to the idea of challenging authority. Yes, he stresses that we should all listen to our hearts and discover our own personal compass. No one else has the right to instruct us on how to think or practice our religion. Consequently, it is not about blindly adhering to a code of conduct or a creed. It's all about developing a personal relationship with God that stems from our unique set of values and experiences. Very well. A human connection like that is also considerably more difficult to control or exploit. In our own unique way, it enables us to engage with our religion and make choices that are consistent with our principles and aspirations. Developing a healthy skepticism towards authority figures in general seems like a necessary evil. We must accomplish this for every ideology or set of principles that calls for unwavering commitment or obligation. I completely agree with you. Critical thinking and evaluation skills are valuable in all walks of life, not only religion. Thompson also raised the possibility that God is purifying the church by exposing these issues, and I can't help but consider this while we continue our conversation. That's a fascinating perspective. This means that although these revelations might cause distress and pain initially, they have the potential to bring about a stronger and more sincere faith in the end. The ugly realities of power, abuse, and deceit are staring us in the face, and it seems like we're being forced to confront them. This process of conflict has given us the opportunity to create something better, founded on honesty and truth. Now that we've covered all the bases regarding Daystar's issues, we can go on to a larger topic regarding faith, leadership, and personal safety. We've covered some heavy ground, but I think we've also uncovered some gold in the form of helpful information and potential avenues for a more authentic and effective expression of our faith. Yes, I think so too. Additionally, it should be remembered that this discussion is ongoing. There is a lot more that we can discuss and investigate. We hope that this comprehensive examination has prompted you to reflect, and perhaps even begin to delve further into these issues. Sure thing. Finally, I think it's critical to leave the reader with a sense of optimism. According to Thompson and Winnings, there are still many positive aspects of the church, despite the fact that we have discovered many negative